What is up, guys? Today, since the year is kind of coming to a close, I did kind of want to do like a year review. Pretty much just showing you guys some clips that you guys might have not seen throughout this entire year. I'm pretty much going to go through the months and kind of just tell you guys how the year went. Out the gate, this year was not my best fishing year. I didn't really catch any fish this year at all. Our lakes have been plagued with golden algae, killed off a lot of fish, and the fishing just hasn't been the same ever since the golden algae came around. So the fishing hasn't been that great, but the year itself was still really good. So I'm going to show you guys some highlights today, kind of go through some of what happened this year. So at the start of this year, it was, obviously January. So it's the middle of the season for chasing after trophy largemouth. So I spent a lot of time going to Canyon Lake, which has a lot of giant bass here in Arizona. And I was going there constantly, and I probably went like 20 trips. I didn't catch a single fish on any of those trips. So it was a grind. It was a really tough grind. A lot of people didn't catch a whole lot of fish during that time. But I did have kind of like a scare that happened. And what I mean by that is one morning I was out on the lake. They were going to stock trout that day, so I was out there fishing hard. And there's a certain point on this lake that a lot of people like to fish, and it has big fish on it, but it's very occasionally that those fish will actually be up there feeding. So I went out to the point that morning and make a bomb cast on it, and what you guys see is what happens.
Fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Well, I thought I had a 9-pounder. Turns out I got catfish.
So that catfish was the only fish that I caught at the beginning of the year, January. And it was brutal. I really thought that I had a giant because the night before, my good friend Phoenix, he texted me saying, yo, tomorrow you're going to go out and catch a 9-pounder on that exact point. So when I got that bite, I was like, there's no way he just called it. But obviously getting catfish was not the move. So after that came February. And on February 1st, I went out to one of my little urban spots called Chaparral, and I was throwing the battle shad around, and I just had some time to kill. It was 15 minutes away from where I was, so I was like, screw it, let's just go fishing real quick. I went down there, and I think probably like 30 minutes in, I catch the first fish of the year on the battle shad at an urban spot, and this is the fish here. Nothing too big or too crazy, but it definitely felt good getting a bite, at an urban spot in February and catching the first fish of the year. So that was really awesome. So then after that in February, I kept grinding out on the lakes, didn't catch anything, and it was just kind of rough. It was really bad. And then March came around, I caught one little crankbait fish at Saguaro, nothing to really brag about. And then I had my good buddy Matt Streichel from SB Fishing come into town on his 50-state fishing challenge, and we got to fish with him. So here's some of the footage that I never actually ended up posting from that day. It was awesome to fish with Matt again. And it was a crazy day. Honestly, it was a very long day out on the water, and luckily I was able to catch a fish. So here's some of the footage from that day.
Today, we got my boy Matt from SB Fishing coming in, doing his 50-state challenge. If you guys haven't seen that whole series that he's been doing, please go down, check out the link in the description below to his channel and this incredible journey. Speak of the devil, he's actually here. So let's go meet up with the guy. All right, the legend himself is here.
What's up, everybody?
It's crazy, bro.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. You're doing it. You're actually doing it.
We're trying. We're trying. We just drove in from Dallas, Texas. We were actually at John B's and fished with him in Texas for one day.
That's insane.
Crushed him.
I saw.
He put us. He just treated us like kings. It was awesome. He put us on big fish. Took us to dinner.
The whole 9
The fishing was ridiculous. We fished so hard for like probably 8-10 hours straight.
Holy
like,
crap.
Flipping hard. The only time we stopped was when we were moving the boat.
Jesus, dude.
It was
That
good.
dude's
James almost
legit.
died.
James almost died.
James almost died. Yeah. It was nuts.
Bro, he's a G.
He just treated us.
He's a freaking G, bro. Yeah, this van is freaking legit. It's absolutely legit.
Don't mind the mess. It's all matte.
This is the man right here.
I'm the man, he's the kid.
He's the kid.
Even though he's older than me.
The rig. A Mercury. Okay.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, I don't know. This one.
There it is, too. Not a bad one. Nice fish, dude. That was insane, dude. On the old HPH. So that was a super awesome day. I caught a fish and obviously getting to meet up with Matt again. We had met up the year previous. It's always awesome talking to Matt. We've been talking back and forth for like since 2016, 2015. So it's awesome to see where he's at right now. So hopefully we can link back up in the future. So in April and May, I kind of started to travel a bit more to find other spots to fish. So I started going north, I started going east, went a little bit west even, just to find some new water to fish. And I ended up fishing, I want to say like 6 new lakes in 2 months. 4 of them pretty much stood out to where I'm like, okay, we can actually fish these. They have good fish. I've seen good activity. And that kind of started. And the first couple places that I went to, one of the craziest things that has ever happened to me before is when we were fishing this lake. I was with my good buddy Chris Ramirez, and my buddy Chris, he pointed out this fish that we saw kind of just swimming on top of the water, and I was like, yo, like, what's up with this fish? It ignored our baits, acting like it never even saw us. So what I did is I grabbed my net, and well, you guys can see what happened.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yo, who needs swim baits? Just net the damn thing.
We got one!
So what was up with that fish is that it was blind in both eyes and it couldn't see anything. The fish, other than being blind, was fairly healthy. I mean, it had its strength. I just don't understand how it was able to survive that long. I wonder if it was like a recent thing, but craziest thing that I'd ever seen. It was even like a decent fish, probably like a 4-pounder. And obviously we let it go back and saw it just swimming. It was just the weirdest thing I'd ever seen. So at the end of May, a lot of you guys may or may not know, but John B., Alex Peric, and Wes Davis, they went on the Never Stop Tour 2. And they were doing like a West Coast kind of drive. So they went from Texas all the way to San Diego. And on the way over, they stopped in Arizona and they did a really awesome meetup. What was really awesome is since myself and John, we've been not really friends, but we've been talking on social media since probably like 2010, 2011 on YouTube. And so, and even after that,
when John first started his Instagram, you know, we were talking and going back and forth. So the relationship goes back quite a ways, but it was never like a connection to where, oh, let's hook up or whatever. So this was the first time fishing with those guys, and it was super awesome to fish with them. I'll show you guys some of the footage that I was in the Never Stop tour right now.
This right here is Jeffrey. We met him officially in person last night, but I've been, you know, talking to him via Instagram about fishing.
Yeah, Gregory. This lake, it's not a bad lake, but when it's super windy like this, for some reason it shuts off the fish. And so, you know, he's a guide out here. He knows all the spots.
And then summer kind of rolled around in June, and my buddy Phoenix, he came into town because he lives up in Minnesota, and we're like, yo, let's go, you know, travel around and see what's up. He wanted to go catch some smallmouth up in the mountains, so I said, dude, let's go up there. I'm totally down to leave the heat and go catch some smallmouth. So we went up to this lake up north. It's got a good smallmouth population. I have fished it before, and we got up there, and it was kind of slow. We weren't really fishing the right things. We were obviously fishing the big swim baits, and it's kind of hard to catch them up there on the big swim baits. It's possible, but it's definitely on the harder side. So, you know, after a while of trying the swim baits, I went over to the jerk bait, and luckily enough, I was able to catch a decent smallmouth. All right, so me and the boy, we're up here on a secret lake, and was able to catch ourselves a beautiful Arizona smallmouth. Absolutely gorgeous. Amazing markings on the fish overall. Ate the jerkbait. Dude, just look at the colors on that fish. Freaking gorgeous, man. And that's that. And there's the fish. Super, super sick, so. Alright, let's get her out. So then July rolls around, and myself, Phoenix, team back up again, and we drive over to Southern California, which we normally do every year. And right away, we linked up with my really good friend, Chris Purcell. Going back to the whole connections and linking up with amazing people, obviously linking up with Chris was awesome yet again. His brother, Matt, as well. The entire Purcell family, many thanks and blessings for dealing with myself and Phoenix. And then halfway through the trip, we got to fish with Mike Gilbert, the legendary trophy bass fisherman, and that was extremely fun. Phoenix caught 2 fish, Mike caught 1, and I caught 1. It was a really awesome day. Overall, that Southern California trip was absolutely amazing. I caught my first surface iron yellowtail. Phoenix caught his. Phoenix caught quite a few swim bait fish, and overall, the best Southern California trip that I've ever been on in my life. So that trip was amazing. So then it was back to reality here in Arizona, and I kept fishing Lake Pleasant, and surprisingly enough, I was starting to actually catch a little more swimbait fish than I had before. I caught a decent swimbait fish, like a 3.5 on the Clash 9. Here's that fish right now. And then I caught a couple other smaller ones again on the Clash 9, and it seemed like I was piecing things together, but I still didn't have it fully figured out, and I still don't. Because that lake and those fish, they really like to swim bait, but they don't want to really commit and eat it. I still have to figure out what's wrong with those fish or what I need to do. But once I do, I think there's actually a really good opportunity to catch some big fish at that lake. In September, Phoenix again, he invited me to come up to Lake of the Woods, Canada with him and fish for muskie for the first time. And obviously I was completely down with it, and it was the first time I'd been on a plane since like 2011. So it had been such a long time since I had actually traveled by plane that's not California. So that aspect of traveling and getting to film it was super exciting because it's something that I hadn't done in a very long time. So for that trip, I actually got this setup right now, the Sony a7 III, and I bought everything here right before the trip, so I had some really good quality videos for a trip like this. So I made 3 videos on it. I'll obviously link those down below in the description if you guys wanted to go check them out. Honestly, those 3 videos are probably my most favorite videos I've ever posted in my entire life. And overall, that trip was just, I'll never forget that trip, honestly. So that pretty much ended off my September. And then we got into October. And on October, I kind of got on a little bass bite with the Clash 9. I ended up catching 5 fish. I had like 7 eats. And they weren't really giant fish or anything like that, but it just felt really good to start catching fish again on one of my home lakes. Something that I hadn't done in a while. And it seemed at the time fairly easy to predict where the fish were going to be and when they were going to be up there. It was short windows, but those windows definitely had fish there, and I was able to catch fish. And that was an awesome boost of confidence to like, okay, maybe the lakes are kind of coming back. Maybe I still have some mojo, some groove when it comes down to swim bait fishing. And November and now December have rolled around and I have not caught a fish in 2 months. And honestly, I wouldn't change anything that has happened this year. It's years like this that I feel like will define a bass fisherman, or not just a bass fisherman, but a person and their willingness to keep doing something that sometimes will piss them off. Obviously, a lot of bad things happened this year, but also a lot of amazing things have happened for me. A lot of great opportunities that I will never forget happened this year. So, like I said, in the fishing aspect of this year, it wasn't that good. Alright, it wasn't that good. I mean, I caught fish here and there, but it wasn't mind-blowing like I've had in the past few years. But the opportunities, the people that I met, the places that I went to, all of those still have a place in my heart, and I will never forget this year. Obviously, I have a lot of things that I want to do in 2020. I want to travel more. I want to meet more people. I want to meet back up with people. So I think going into 2020, I think this year will hopefully be my best year. We'll see how it goes. I hope you guys stay tuned for the next year and hopefully the years after that. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, go out there and chase your dreams. And Happy New Year's.